What up? It is the Gopher Broke podcast. We're back. We're at it. We're getting into a whole lot of defense today because we got to play a little catch up. But nobody has enough football, right? So y'all good. Sit back, relax, hit subscribe. Let's get it. All right, you're listening to the Gopher Broke podcast. This is a show for the Gophers fans that are loyal, the truest, the realest, and football is almost here. So if that sounds like you, be sure to hit subscribe over on YouTube because we are getting after it once a week, every week, and then we do the live shows after the game, immediate reactions as well. But as always, I'm joined by my co-host Tristyn Spann-Ford, and we are coming at you. Well, it's not live, I guess. We're recording this one, but you feel me. How are you doing, Tristyn Spann-Ford?
I'm doing wonderful, and we will be live. What do we got? Less than 30 days, and we will be doing this post-game live. I cannot wait. I can taste football on my tongue. I'm so excited. It's all I can think about every day.
I'm with you 100%. But as we always do, let's kick this thing off. What gripes do you got for me, my boy? What's been going on? What's going on in the world?
I mean, like I said, we're running pretty clean weeks so far because we are gearing down. We're down on summer activities, and now we're getting ready to ramp back up in this household. These kids got to go back to school. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it until they get back to school. But things have been pretty chill. Done with this heat as well.
Mm-hmm.
The heat was different. For the people who don't know, I'm a UPS driver, and the back of the truck is like 20 degrees hotter than it is outside. So it's just a nightmare. It's been a nightmare the last 2 weeks. Finally got some reprieve from that.
You finally got to breathe some fresh air. You're not out there in that hot stink heat. But I feel that 100%. My gripe, I'm going to go with this one. It's a little more serious, a little more cuts deep, but we're going to keep it quick. I just wish that kids could not face real illnesses and sickness. Now, I'm not talking about the flus or the sniffles or things like that. I'm talking about the hard-hitting ones. I've just been keeping up with the Tristyn family. If you're over on Twitter, they're a family full of Gopher fans. They got 2 boys. One of their boys is going through a bone marrow transplant, and that is something that grown-ass folks have struggles, and it's supposed to be super painful and just lots of things with it. And just to see them going through that, it's tough. It cuts me deep. I definitely get sad. I feel for them. I'm keeping them in the thoughts of my prayers, but I just hate to see, especially kids, go through things like that. So that's my gripe right now. I wish if we could take anything away, if I could make world peace right now, it would be that kids, hopefully people in general, but especially the kids, couldn't have those major illnesses and things to fight. So
yeah, that's tough. Thoughts and prayers with them for sure.
Yes, they are the realest of real when it comes to Gophers fans. So if you know them, send love their way. But let's move it into the show. We have a whole lot of things to do. So last week we didn't have our show. I had to call in sick. Because your boy was behind on some work things. So we are back at it again, but we got to catch up. So we are moving over to the defense positional breakdowns. We initially planned on doing just the D-line, but we're going to do both the entire D-line, so edge and interior, and we're going to do linebacker. So this is going to be a whole lot of Gopher talk for you today. Hopefully you'll get to know some of these players if you haven't already. And then we're going to talk about just Iowa, because Iowa deserves its own show. It is so serious. It is so real. And I might have some hope for this year. I'll tell you why. We'll get there in a little bit. But before we get into those main topics, let's talk about Big Ten Media Days. Let's talk about the number one topic that came up, and that is Curt Cignetti going to war against the SEC. How are you feeling? I feel like, usually you like you support your other Big Ten folks, but at the same time, you're like, I don't like them, I don't like them, I don't like them. Curt Cignetti, I'm a fan. Ever since he stepped into the Big Ten, this man just says all the things, and I'm here for it. How are you feeling about Curt Cignetti?
I love it, and I think it is impossible to disagree with him. The Big Ten does run college football right now, and I think that is. It would be one thing, I think, if you were looking at like, oh, the same Big Ten team has won it 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row. Not the case. Not the case. And if you look at it this year, I mean, the Big Ten is still on top of the odds to win it again. I think Oregon could do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the Gophers don't, obviously they got to. Everything goes through us. We got to remember that. But I just think he is spot on, and I mean, SEC fans, I haven't actually seen a ton of SEC people like pushing back on it because I think both conferences, I haven't at least. You're more in the weeds of Twitter, and I think both conferences do it. Like what SEC dominated college football for 20 years, and now there's this shift in dynamic where the playing field has kind of leveled a little bit, and now the Big Ten is kind of running things. But I think if you look at before the SEC, the Big Ten was dominant before that, and when you go 50, 60 years back. So I think it goes in shifts, and every single conference is going to be like, yeah, we're dominant. And the other conference is always going to be like, no, you're not. You just won. You got lucky a few years. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I
but
feel
he's
like
right.
all these coaches, besides Curt Cignetti, but all these coaches that haven't done anything in the last 2-3 years, because we live in a recency bias society. So like, if you haven't put up or shut up in the last 3 years, just don't say things in the media that are going to speculate, because I even saw Pat Narduzzi a few weeks ago say that the ACC top to bottom is better than the Big Ten. I'm like, dog, chill. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. In fact, I went and looked at the details. I could go look on Twitter. I posted them there so you can find them. But basically, Pat Narduzzi had gone 1-6 in all of his meetings against the Big Ten in his time at Pitt. I'm like, dog, why are you chirping? And then I looked at the overall since 2020 record, ACC record versus the Big Ten, and the Big Ten was up like 40-50 games. Like, I'm just like, dog, the internet exists. Like, don't put stuff out there like that. He's like, go back and look at our history, look at the records, you can see the ACC is better. And I'm like, I did the work for you. It's not true. Like, here's the actual facts for you. It's just crazy. These coaches, unless you have something to back it up, like Curt Cignetti just did, took one of the losingest franchise or programs in college football and brought him to a natty. Not just brought him there, won the damn thing in 2 years. He can talk. Like, he can talk all the stuff he wants to. And for those who didn't see what he said at Big Ten Media Days, he said, we don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything is earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. That's why we're the best. Mic drop. Big Ten's the best. Curt Cignetti told you exactly why. I'm here for it. Let's go to war. Big Ten, ride or die. Let's get it.
Love it. I love it.
All right, let's move into this Gopher talk. Let's get after it. So first things first, we're going to break down the edge room, then the interior D-line room, then the linebacker room. Now, I'm going to just mainly talk about the starters and the rotational guys. I'll bring up the other names just so you know who else are in these rooms, but I'm not going to get down into the weeds and the youth and depth of the interior and the edge rushers, because that would be 10 players deep that are like freshmen or year two guys that haven't ever played a snap in college. That you don't want those. You don't want, like, I'll tell you who to keep in mind, but like, let's give them time to develop before we get in and start setting expectations.
Yeah, I only wrote down like three, the first, second, and third guys of each position group, because this would be a 3-hour podcast if we break down every single guy.
I'll go a little deeper. I'll probably give you about seven or so, but still, we're gonna get in there.
Love it.
First things first, I want to shout out Ryan Burns, friend of the show. I love being able to chat with him, talk with him a little bit at the practices, at some of the media sessions and stuff. But he just posted recently, probably in the last week, interview with the offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh, and a interview with the defensive coordinator, Danny Collins. So he was able to talk with each of them. It was fun to just hear their perspectives on things because we don't get to hear from them too often. So I gave those a listen. And one thing I loved, so shout out Ryan Burns for putting this out there, is that Danny Collins, DCDC is what I like to call him, he said, my rule with high school signees is, especially on the offensive and defensive lines, I have no expectations for them to play significant snaps until their third year in the program, because you got to get stronger. You got to get more. You got to fill out the body. You got to learn the playbook. You got to learn the extra terminology and things that you probably don't get in high school. And I love that he set the tone and he put it out there, because I feel like a lot of people are like, yo, we got this 4-star, we got this 5-star. Oh, but they only played like 30 snaps. That's because they're getting their feet wet, dog. Give them some time. But if you want to expect that production by year 3, if it comes earlier, that's a bonus. That means you got a dog. You got one of them, one of ones, probably NFL bound type dudes. So like, just appreciate it, but give them time, even if they don't hit it right away.
Absolutely. You got to give them time to develop.
All right, so let's get after this edge room. It's probably the sexiest room in the Gophers' entire locker room, because this room is going to create havoc. This might be the best edge room in the Big Ten, in my opinion. Now, maybe I'm getting a little hyperbolic there, but I think this can compete with those in the Ohio States or the others. Like, and that's saying not because those other ones aren't good. That's saying how special these guys in this room are. So when it comes to the starters, you know Anthony Smith is in there. He led the Big Ten in sacks last year. He is 9 sacks or 9.5 sacks away from the all-time career record for Minnesota Gophers in sack history. So I think he's going to get it. But this dude is just a demon. He could be a first-round draft pick. He definitely had other offers and NIL opportunities out there, but Coach Flex said at the media days, basically, like, he wanted to be here. He wanted to be with this team. He has big expectations for this team, and he wanted to be here with his brothers to help them take that next step. And I think that speaks to who he is, both on and off the field, and that excites me. What got you excited about this edge room with Anthony Smith and the others?
The first thought I had was, how did we retain so many of these guys? Because it is deep, especially in the edge room. We have a lot of dudes who, if we're rotating in and everyone stays fresh, I don't foresee how you can get a playoff. Like, you're gonna have to throw the ball the whole game, because there's dudes that are it's just names for days. Anthony Smith, TJ Bush, Jackson Howard, Carter Menz. Like, that's my first thought was, how did none of these guys transfer? But it says a lot about the room that they didn't, that they've all been here, exception of TJ Bush, who just got here. But that's culture right there, is that they all want to do this, and they've been doing this together and stick around for it. So I mean, like you said, Anthony Smith is a dog. My only concern with him is we got to keep that mustache under control this year. Because there was a point last season where I thought the mustache was hanging out the bottom of his face mask. It was too long. It was just too long, and that we can't have that. So that's my only issue or worry with him at all.
If that's the only thing we have to worry about, I'll take it. I'm here for it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But let's talk about who could be starting across from Anthony Smith. We know that Anthony Smith is locked in there. I think across the line, I think there's 2 guys that possibly could take that role. Maybe it switches depending on the matchup, depending on the games, things like that. But for me personally, I'm between TJ Bush Jr. and Carter Menz. I think those are the 2 names that have the first crack at starting on the opposite side of them, now of Anthony Smith. Now, when I look at TJ Bush Jr., you're talking about a dude who had 130 tackles in his last 3 years of playing college ball. He played 2 years at Liberty, 1 year at Cal last year. We played against him at Cal last year. Pretty sure he did some damage against us. But last year alone, he had 40 tackles, 1 pass breakup, 5.5 sacks. So you're adding 5.5 sack type player to a dog in Anthony Smith, who just led the Big Ten in sacks. That is scary right then and there. And you're talking about, okay, well, what if it was a fluke year? Nope, year before, 5.5 sacks. Like TJ Bush Jr. is just how he gets down. And you look at his grades over on PFF, he is rated at a 70 overall, which is above average for the grade. And then his pass rush is at a 70, which is above average. His coverage grade is 82.3. So he can actually drop back and cover if you need him to a little bit. That makes him a weapon. So you got TJ Bush Jr., and then you got my boy, who I've been shouting out here on the show at Locked On to, Carter Menz. That's my guy. Like, shouts to him. And he was a demon in his own right last year. 32 tackles, 6.5 sacks, and then he had 2 pass breakups and a forced fumble. So it's like Carter Menz, that was his welcome to the Big Ten. And now he's experienced it, he's felt it, he knows what it's like. He went through the strength program again this offseason. I think he's going to take another step. So if I had to take a shot right here, right now, I think I'm saying Anthony Smith, Carter Menz line up as your edge rusher and your rush end for game number 1. I think TJ Bush Jr. and Jackson Howard come in that rotation. But what are you thinking, my dog? How are you feeling, or what do you want to see?
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. If not Anthony Smith and TJ Bush at the same time, Jackson Howard. I'm extremely intrigued by what he does this year, because this feels like he has been in this program. I know he left for a year and he comes back and he was so highly touted. I think this is a big prove it year for him. And I think that he steps up and kind of takes on a little bit of that leadership role into what could potentially be his room next year if he can do that. And so I'm super intrigued by Jackson Howard, but I think he's definitely going to get a lot of plays. Like, I mean, even last year, his numbers he had 4 sacks last year, I think, 30 solo tackles. So he was worked in the rotation. I think he's, just going to be bigger, stronger, faster this year. So I'm really excited about Jackson Howard too.
Yeah, dog. You're talking about Anthony Smith had 12.5. Carter Menz had 6.5. TJ Bush had 5.5. Jackson Howard had 4. Like, that's just 4 guys. We're not even talking about the linebackers. We're not talking about the interior line. We're not talking about the other edge rushers that have snuck in. Those 4 dudes alone had over 25 sacks. I think quick math would tell you that's probably getting towards 30 sacks from 4 guys. That's nuts. That's why we're stoked. Very productive. That's why we're stoked about this room. High upside. So everybody knows about those 4. Everybody's expecting those 4. But what do they have behind them? That's where we get into some interesting things. Just some names to keep on the radar. Again, I think those 4 probably eat up most of the opportunities here. But some other names, Adam Kasai, he ended up committing to the Gophers. Then he ended up decommitting to from the Gophers in his recruitment, went to Clemson, early enrolled with Clemson, went through the spring, then hit the transfer portal, came back to Minnesota, and has been here for the last 2 years. He's heading into year 3 of this year. And, he hasn't gotten a ton of run. He hasn't got a ton of opportunity. He had 3 tackles last season. I'm trying to see quickly how many snaps he played. I think it was probably under 100. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see it on here. He intrigues the hell out of me too, because he is huge. Yeah. He's like so long. He's 6'8".
Yeah.
Like 6'8". He's going to be a problem on the edge. And like, how do you throw it?
He's a standing edge because he's so damn big. But it's like, okay, if he had some bend, and I know he's been adding some strength and weight over these last few years, but you're talking about a 6'8" dude who got 33 snaps last year, but in those snaps, he got 3 tackles. He didn't have any sacks, but I just think there's a lot of potential with him. And again, you're not asking him to go out there and be Anthony Smith because you got 4 deep. So he's a guy that you're just like, come in and show your upside. Come in and learn from these dudes so you can be one of these top 4 next year. Like, I think Adam Kasai is just a name to definitely keep on the radar. Again, like Tristyn said, 6'8". And then another name I want to bring up, he is a true freshman. I don't think he's going to play this year, or if he does, I don't think it's going to be a ton. But his name is Aiden H. Aiden H, I believe is how you say it. It might be H, but I think it's H. Anyways, he is a true freshman coming in. He's coming in from Indiana. And here's the thing. Like I said, I'm not expecting a whole lot this season, but it's a name to keep on an eye on long term. Even PJ Fleck at Big Ten Media Days said this. He said, someone has it you know when someone has it. And he said, like Anthony Smith. When Anthony Smith came here, we knew he had it. Well, we're here. We're like, he's got it. And when you watch them move, you just see it. And he said, Aiden H has it. He might not be it yet, but it's going to be there at some point very quickly. But he loves their freshman class. He talked about Aiden H having that it. And you're talking about you're losing Anthony Smith this year. Wouldn't it be just perfect? Just the circle of life. If Anthony Smith goes out, first round pick, because we know we got to get him up there, and then all of a sudden Aiden H next year is like, okay, now I'm him. Now I'm Anthony Smith. Let's get it. Like, I am excited. So keep that name on your radar for sure.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I was just kind of looking at some of these other names on here. Jalen Hicks is also one of those younger dudes you're going to talk about. See, how I know that I'm onto something is when I say a name and Kane's eyes light up. I'm like, yes, I'm not going to talk crazy right now.
No, we're definitely going to talk about him, but he's on the interior now. He's on the interior defensive line. So he's someone we'll definitely be talking about here. The other names, youth and depth-wise on this D-line or on the edge rushing room, I think they're all edge rushers. Again, the true freshman ones, it's hard. They can sometimes shift and things like that. But we've got Joseph Anyansi. Love the name. True freshman. We'll see what happens. Anthony Charles, true freshman. We'll see what happens. Enoch Etwagbola. He's going to be a second-year player this year. I believe he is from Minnesota. I might be spacing on that right now. But I believe he is a Minnesota prep. And this will be year 2. He was a high-ranked guy. If it's not him I'm thinking of, then maybe it was Abu Tarawale. But either way,
we got someone. Abu Tarawale is from Minnesota.
Okay. So I might be wrong on Enoch. Enoch might be from out of state. But then you've got Rhett Lavaca and you've got Sam Macy. So all of those dudes are younger guys, year 1, year 2 guys for the most part. Joseph Anyansi, Anthony Charles, Enoch Etwagbola, and Rhett Lavaca. Those are all year 1, year 2. And then Sam Macy's a year 3 guy that I see as more of a depth player right now. We talked about kind of those 6 to keep an eye on for this season, the core 4 on the edge. But let's shift it to the inside. This is the room I'm probably the most worried about for the Gophers across the board. But I still think there's a lot of potential upside in here. How are you feeling with the defensive tackles?
I think, there's a lot to be seen yet. We just haven't seen. I mean, there's a lot of, even I think, what is it? I have 3 names in the front 6 that are transfers in, or that haven't really played any meaningful snaps at all. There's guys like, you got to think like Naquan Crowder is going to play a lot. He played a lot last year. He had a sack and like 20 some tackles as well. So he's going to get a lot of tick, a lot of run, and we've seen him. But really, after that, there's a steep drop off of guys who have seen the field. So I think it's going to be interesting, to say the least, about who shows up. It's going to be a lot of rotating in until we can find the guys that can handle themselves, I think.
I'm with you. I like to think of it so like last year we talked about how the Gophers had their top 4 guys that played on the interior with Devin Eastern, Jalen Logan Redding, Nate Becker, and Rushawn Lawrence. Those were the 4 guys that played like a majority, probably like 80 to 90% of the interior defensive snaps came from those 4. All 4 of them are gone. So you got a whole lot of making up to do. Tristyn said Naquan Crowder. I think he is. Lock him in. He's a starter. Like, I would be shocked if he is not a starter in game 1. He's one of the sure things I feel about with this defensive tackle room. I think the staff is excited about him. I think he's going to be a run stopper. At Marshall, like Tristyn said, he had 26 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and a pass breakup. He had an amazing run defensive grade of an 82.8, which is elite. Like, you love that. So if he can bring just that characteristic alone, it's worth the money, it's worth the investment, it's worth the opportunity. So I'm looking forward to Naquan Crowder. The 2 other names that I think are kind of locked into that core 4 rotation is what I call it. I think it's Riley Sunrum and Jalen Hicks. Jalen Hicks as the name that Tristyn brought up. Both of these guys are year 3 guys, and like Danny Collins said, year 3 is where he expects the production. Year 3 is where he expects you to show up and show out. And I think both these guys are ready to take that to heart this season. Now, Riley Sunrum only saw 44 snaps last season. He hasn't got a lot of opportunity, but this spring he jumped off the page for me. He was in there a lot. I would say I would be fairly surprised if he wasn't in the core four. And heck, I'd be super surprised. Not super surprised. I'd be surprised if he wasn't a starter. I think he's going to put his name in the conversation to be there right next to Naquan. And if he's not, then maybe him and Naquan are the guys who rotate in as the more nosed type look, whereas Jalen Hicks comes more as a 3-tech. But regardless, Riley Sunrum is a 4-star kid in high school. He's from North Dakota. I think we're going to see that talent pop this year. He's super strong. He looks strong as hell. But overall, I want to shout out his pops because I see his pops always supporting Dingytown athletes over on Twitter. So definitely got love for him over there. So Riley Sunrum is the name to know. And then Jalen Hicks is the other one I wanted to bring up. Year 3 guy again. Super long, super lanky, explosive, got good twitch, 82 snaps last season, graded well in his limited opportunities. And I think we saw a lot of him and Riley playing together this past spring as well. So maybe it's Naquan and Hicks, and Riley's rotating in with Naquan a lot, maybe a little bit with Hicks. I think those three, though, I'm expecting those three to be in that core four, and then it's finding who the fourth is with them. And I think there are a couple different options. We got transfer in Sid Kaba from Marshall, who played with Naquan Crowder at Marshall. You got the other transfer, Zion Chapman, who was a guy from FIU last year. He had 2 sacks, 15 tackles, 1 forced fumble, pass breakup, graded above average on PFF. So those 2 names are definitely ones to keep an eye on in this rotation, maybe finding a way to get into that core 4 per se and the defensive tackle position. And then there are 2 other names I think you need to have on your radar that maybe could try to fight into that core 4 too, trying to take the last spot. Because again, I think those 3 between Hicks, Sunrum, and Crowder, I think those 3 are locked in. So it's like trying to get that 4th, but maybe we have a 5th. Maybe we rotate a lot more. We try to get more experience with some of these guys. But the other 2 names I want to bring up is Theron Randall. He's been with the program for 4 years. This will be year 4. He has not really played, but the staff like him. They like his reach. They like his ability to be a potential run stopper. But the dude has been hurt every single season. So it's just, you got to stay healthy. You got to find a way to get onto the field to get into that potential. Otherwise, it will remain untapped potential. So I've got hope for Theron Randall. He's a guy who could maybe make a case. And the final name I'm going to throw out there as a guy who could make a case is another true freshman. Like I said, Coach Flex said he loves this freshman class, and I think Howie Johnson, who is the number 1 kid in our entire freshman class, is a name to know. Number 1 kid in the state, finished his high school career with 88 tackles for loss, which I believe is a state record. Finished his high school career with 22 sacks, which I believe is a state record for combined. And then he also had over 230 tackles. So I think this dude is a dude, and he's definitely someone you should know.
Yeah, he's from Forest Lake. I was looking at him too, and to be 300 pounds at the age of 18, I'm just praying. He's got to make it to the league because he owes his parents some grocery money. Because that is a big boy.
Hey, and he's built for it too. I've seen some of his lifting videos, and this dude is strong as all get out. But also, just to show love to him, again, another guy that Fleck named. He named flat out. He said at the internal media days for the Gophers, he said, "I will give you a name just because Howie Johnson. I expect him as he keeps getting better. I expect him to help us, even as a true freshman. His body and then mentally and emotionally, he'll be ready to play and help us this season. Maybe not 50 snaps." But he'll be ready to help us. So he's not going to play every snap like we're talking about. He's going to be a guy who can work in. But the fact that he's already calling out Howie Johnson, a true freshman, is probably going to see time. You know who else he has said that about? He said it about Darius Taylor. Dude took over as a freshman. He said it about Greg Johnson. He eventually became a starter as a freshman down the line. He said it about Emmanuel Carmel, who saw a bunch of opportunities last year. Every time
we're going to get into him,
says that the freshmen are ready to handle it this season as true freshmen, they often at least get some run and some looks. And so I'm going to take his word for it. Howie Johnson is a name to definitely know.
Yeah, I love also that Howie Johnson is just the most Midwestern name of all time. Like Howie Johnson's the guy you're having a beer with after work.
Yes, I feel you. All right, the final names we're going to bring up on this interior D line before we move it over to the linebackers. Just youth and depth, name to know, but I don't think they're going to be on the field if much at all. If not much, if at all, is Jeremiah Benson. He is a true freshman coming in this year. So again, just got to get some time, get working, get the playbook going. Abu Terwale, I don't know if he's an edge or an interior defensive lineman. I need to figure that out here soon. He hasn't caught my eye in the spring sessions just because there's so much to look at, so much to watch for in the spring. And so it's like, okay, I'm trying to look at who's in the rotations, who's in the ones and twos, who's getting the opportunities, who's new numbers, who's all these things. And so if you're not in the ones and twos, it's hard for me to pay attention to where you're at exactly, because you probably get a handful of reps. And if I miss that because I'm watching the offense or something like that. So Abu is a guy who's a youth going into year 2. He'll be a depth guy. I think he's got upside down the line, but I don't think he's going to play this year. Mo Sane, a year 3 guy from Eden Prairie, depth guy. Colin Hansen, again, I don't know if he's an edge or a DT. And then finally, Jaquan Stubbs. I do believe he is a DT, but Colin Hansen, Jaquan Stubbs, and Abu are all year 2 guys, so technically they would be redshirt freshmen this year. Jeremiah Benson is a true freshman, and then Mosin would be a redshirt sophomore. I think all those guys are youth and depth. Keep an eye on them for the long term, but I don't think they're going to be playing much this season.
Yeah, looking at a lot of those guys you listed, it's just it seems to be the size might not be quite there yet.
Yeah, and I don't know how often the Gophers
play interior at least.
Right.
Play interior.
I don't know how often the Gophers actually update their numbers too. I wonder if they just leave it. But overall, it's definitely something to consider. Like I said, Coach Collins said he doesn't expect things till year 3, so we're going to kind of keep that same metric here, unless we already think or see you with the ones and twos and think you're kind of heading that direction. All right, the last room we're breaking down real quick before we get to those darn Iowa Hawkeyes, we got to talk about the linebackers. The linebackers, this should be fun. First things first, I'm going to let you take the floor with the linebackers. Who's stepping out to you? Who's the people that you have on your radar? What are you thinking?
I love Maverick as a captain of this team in general. I think if there was a player, even in the last 10 years, watching this team, that you would just, if you could just run a player back and have him on your team forever, it would be Maverick Baranowski. He is
Cody
a general.
I feel like both of those two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what he gives. It's going to be weird seeing him out there. Well, I know we already had you, but whatever. So it's he is the general that you want to be behind. Like, he can get a defense behind you, whether you are down, whether you are up. Like, he is steady the whole time. All business, like it is just, he's the ultimate team captain. So I'm super excited for him. I think he's a warrior too. Like, I think he fights through stuff that, he just keeps playing. He just keeps playing. So love Maverick. And then Matt Kingsbury. I'm really excited about him too. We've seen him, what he can do already. And now he's going to be really in the rotation, getting more snaps than he was last year. So I think he's going to be a huge piece, but those 2 guys at the helm actually makes me really confident for that. The lack of experience on the in the D tackle area, to have those guys behind them is going to be massive for our D line. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. I have both of those guys listed in my starters category. The only other person I put in the starters category, because I could see them playing the Sam or fighting with Kingsbury for a potential starting position, is your boy Emmanuel Carmo. I think those 3 are really the ones that you're looking at. Like, these are the guys who are going to take the vast majority of the snaps in this room. Maverick Baranowski took a major leap as linebacker 1 last year. Even when Cody Lindenberg was leading the room, Maverick always found a way to make an impact. He always stood out. He always was impressive. Then last season, he comes in as linebacker 1, and he did something Cody Lindenberg never was able to do, I believe, because of injuries more so, but he got a 100 tackle season. So he had 103 tackles last year. He had 1 pass breakup. He had 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. If he is healthy this season, I wouldn't be shocked if he had more production than what we saw last year, because he's just got that factor. He's just got that thing about him. Like, this is what I do. I love ball. My name is Maverick. Like, I am ready to be your linebacker, plain and simple. I'm ready to be an all Big Ten type dude. So I'm excited about Maverick Baranowski this year. Again, He was third highest on the entire team on the defense in snaps last year with 667, and that was only behind Coy Parrish and Anthony Smith. I think he's safe to say he's probably going to be top 2 this year in snaps played, and I think that's a great thing for the Gophers as long as he's staying healthy. Now, you said Matthew Kingsbury. I think he is definitely a guy who can take that Devin Williams role, potentially the will linebacker.
Mhm.
He had 266 snaps last season. He was a rotational guy. He was definitely like that third linebacker for the Gophers last year. So he's looking to step into that number 2 role. He saw a lot of opportunity from Iowa through the Northwestern game, and then I believe he got dinged up after that, so he didn't play in Wisconsin. He played a handful of snaps in the bowl game. But I think he's going to get the first chance to fill that Devin Williams role. That being said, I wouldn't rule out somebody younger catching him if he doesn't show up for that number 2 role. If he shows up and he's still, pretty good in production, then maybe he stays in that role he was in last year and a guy like Emmanuel Carmo or some of these other younger names step in. But Emmanuel Carmo is the final one I wanted to talk about. First, I'll give you a quick stats. With Kingsbury, he had 34 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 3 fumble recoveries, and 1 fumble touchdown last season. So if he can keep up that and do it at a higher clip with more snaps, he's locked in. Like, take it, run with it. But the final name I think the Gophers are going to get super creative with this year is Emmanuel Carmo. He had 156 snaps last year, which felt light. PFF was not kind to him when it comes to the grading, but if you watched Emmanuel Carmo on that field last year, you saw the potential. You saw the things that this dude could do. I remember him being kind of caught in coverage and being able to make his way back, dive and get a pass deflection on a running back wheel route or something like that saved the Gophers an explosive play. And that was all pure athleticism as a true freshman. Now he's more in the system. Now he's gotten through the strength program. I think the upside of this dude is massive. He'll likely compete with Kingsbury to officially take that Devin Williams role. But even if Kingsbury gets it, I think Emmanuel Carmo is going to be playing in the Sam linebacker role with some of the packages that they have. I think he's going to be creative and used on the edge every once in a while as a rusher. I think Emmanuel Carmo is going to be that Swiss Army knife of this defense.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It feels like the way Emmanuel Carmo plays football is that he should just be listed as defense. Like, what position do you play? I play defense. Like, I'm making plays on the ball. Like, he flies around. It's almost like, I mean, this is obvious. This is the bad comparison, but it feels like, remember when you used to watch Troy Polamalu? How it was like, what position is he playing? Like, is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? Now he's up on the line. Like, it seems like they just let him rove around the field. That's what I would do with Emmanuel Carmo. Just let him play wherever he feels most comfortable on that play and let him go. Because that's how he plays. Like, he just plays like a chicken with his head cut off. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. Like, I'm going to go make a play. And it's exciting. I think out of all the players we've looked at, I think he has the most potential of what I'm mostly excited for the potential that he has.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. So those are kind of the key 3, I think, starters wise. For me, I have 2 other guys that I would list in the rotation. I think there are others that maybe would have more or disagree with me, but I think the 2 other names to really know that could carve out a role and be like the Kingsbury role of this year is Nate Cleveland, year 2 guy. We got to talk about the post. The post. I'm trying to pull it up.
All-time post. Incredible caption.
Yeah, so Nate Cleveland literally just broke the internet the other day because he had a post of his showing the back of his jersey from the media days of Gophers this year, but it was the caption that did it all, and I'm pretty sure it went viral on some things. He said, "Call me LeBron the way I got Cleveland on my back."
It's just, I mean,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I mean,
if you're bringing that swagger, I want you on the field. I want you on the field. He used to be 53. Now he's 35. I'm all about it. But Nate Cleveland, not just because of the caption, I think he is going to be a dog in this linebacker room. Again, this is going to be year 2, so technically he would be a redshirt freshman. This spring, he showed some big flashes. He looks natural. He's one of those players that you watch on the field, and you're watching. And this one was a lot more with the 2s, but we saw some 1s runs in the spring and whatnot too. And you watch, and you're just like, dog, let me pull out the sheet rope. Who is 53? Cleveland. Every time you keep seeing 53 here, 53, 50. I'm like, dog, who is 53? Cleveland. Okay, keep an eye on Cleveland. That's what he did last spring, and even last fall a little bit early on. So Nate Cleveland is a name you should know. I think he's going to work into the rotation this year. I think he's going to be a name in the future for this Gophers linebacker room. The staff was all really impressed with him early. Talent like that finds its way onto the field, and I think Cleveland is going to find his way onto the field this season, even if it's more in that Kingsbury Carmo role of last year. He's going to get run this year and fight for a spot next year. And I feel the same way about Mason Carrier. Mason Carrier is the other guy that I have in my rotation. He graded really well on PFF in limited opportunity. This man is Minnesota through and through, like Detroit Lakes kid, just a grinder. He's always pushing heavyweight. He's a leader on the field. Like, he reminds me, I don't know why, it's not like they're the same type of person, but he reminds me a lot of Mariano Sori-Marin. And I think that he's going to bring that type of energy, that type of juice to this linebacker room. And I think that's going to find its way onto the field. I think he's going to be a key player in the rotation for this linebacker room. Depending on what he puts on the film, I think he could be a starter for this room next year.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Mason Carrier. Here's one of the names I had written down. I also had the transfer Andrew Marshall. I'm intrigued by him. He seems to have had a lot of snaps, and I think like that experience could translate. That's just one of the other names I had written down. My dog is tripping right now. Go somewhere.
It's cool. I can't even hear the dog. But overall, Andrew Marshall is a name that I had on my youth and depth. I think he does have a lot of experience, like you were saying. Like, even last year at Eastern Michigan, he had 61 tackles and 1 sack. Like, that's hard to fluke 61 tackles. I didn't see him a ton this spring. I don't think he was fighting any injuries or anything, so I just don't know if he's carved a role out for himself. I think he might be a huge special teams guy. Like, he might be a guy that steps up in the special teams, and you have him a ton. Maybe he's a guy that fights for part of that Sam linebacker role, depending on what Carmo does too. So I think he'll find a way in a role, like he'll be on the field in some capacities, but I just don't have him in the core rotation for myself. Him and another name that people really like is Joey Gerlach. He is a year 5 guy this year. He's played a ton of opportunities in the special teams, but he's seen the field sporadically. He was the guy that nearly had that punt block touchdown last year, but his foot was just like barely on the sliver of white, so it ended up being a safety instead of a touchdown.
Yeah.
But
the worst.
Yeah, but he is a guy that, again, I think he's going to be on the field in some capacity, whether it be special teams or whether it be every so often. But Joey Gerlach and Andrew Marshall are 2 guys that I think are definitely depth guys in this room. And then
I like it. I was just looking at more of that Andrew Marshall. Sorry, my dog was so distracting just now. That was to be fully transparent with people. He was just all up on me. I was strictly Andrew Marshall was strictly based on his numbers. Like, I'm not going back and watching any Maction film. Maction is strictly for Wednesdays, and I'm not watching that.
I don't know if it threw me off. For some reason, I thought we had more linebackers on our roster, but you only really have Baranowski, Kingsbury, Carmo, Carrier, Cleveland, Gerlach, and Andrew Marshall. That's 7 linebackers. And then you have, Ethan Stendel. I forgot to bring him up. So 8 linebackers that are kind of the rotation guys, or the depth guys. Ethan Stendel is a year 2 guy. He was a big player on special teams last season. From what I saw in spring ball, I think he's probably going to have a similar role to what he had last year. So I'm not expecting a lot of linebacker opportunities for him. But then you've got 2 true freshmen, and Angel Luciano, who was a big get for the Gophers last year in that class, and then Hudson Dunn, who was also a nice get for them. Both of those guys ranked pretty closely to each other in the recruiting rankings. I don't think either one of them is going to play as a linebacker as a freshman. They're going to have to work into the room, work into the strength and conditioning, but like tons of potential with those 2. So I guess it's not that small. It's 10 linebackers deep. But when I first looked at it, it felt light for me for a second.
Not a lot of melanin in this room. I will say that. Emmanuel Carmo is pulling a lot of weight for the
Cleveland
here.
Cleveland too.
Yes, yeah. But that's fine. That's just
both the freshmen. They're trying to.
That's Big Ten football, baby.
They're trying to rework.
That's big.
They're like, we're starting to look a little one way. Let's add a little bit of color in here real quick. But yeah, that is 3 rooms that we've broken down for you here on the show. And now we're going to break down the Iowa Hawkeyes to wrap this thing up. We're only doing Iowa Hawkeyes 1 because we just covered 3 different rooms, but 2 because the Iowa Hawkeyes deserve the respect of one separate show. I think Wisconsin will also get its own show. And I'm not saying they deserve respect at all, like real respect. I'm saying respect the rivalry. That's why they get it. It's not because I respect the program. It's because I respect the rivalry.
We got to respect the rivalry. That's we didn't talk about either. Michigan's head coach, the comments he made about.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
We can get into that next week because that is insane.
Dude's trying to get fired before he even starts. Anyways, let's talk about these Iowa Hawkeyes because, man, oh man, Iowa has been the bane of our existence in the PJ Fleck era. Like what we are to Nebraska is what Iowa is to us, and that hurts to say. It hurts to admit that to you, the people right here, right now, as I look in this camera lens. That hurts, and we need to change it because we're 1-8 versus one of our top 2 rivals. 1-8 in the PJ Fleck era. And the worst part is that the worst loss we've ever had happened last year. Like, it's not only that we were 1-8, it's that we're coming off of the worst one yet. Like, that cut me deep.
Yeah, it doesn't feel necessarily like a rivalry. We are little brother right now, but both teams are on a bye week. This could be an insane, or on a bye week the week prior. This could be an insane matchup this year. In Minnesota, you never know what could happen. Shock the world. This offense and defense are, I think it's going to be the same team. Like, I know that every single year for the last, 4 years, 5 years now, we've been doing Iowa actually they're doing offense this year. Oh, Iowa's going to throw the ball this year. They're not. They're just not. It's going to be the same exact thing. And I think we'll be ready for it this year. I'm really excited.
Dog, I'm not going to lie to you. So I tried to talk myself down. I tried to talk myself into not having hope in this matchup just because 1-8, dog. Like, it's hard to talk yourself back into it when you look at a 1-8. And you're looking at last year was 41-3 was the final scoreboard there. So it's tough looking at that. But then I looked at it and I'm like, okay, Darius Taylor had 1 attempt in that game, which we never received the reasoning for. Never understood why he
pulled up. That was that run. He had a long run, right? He just pulled up.
Nope, that was Northwestern State. That was game number 2. So Darius Taylor had made his way back sporadically before this game. I'm trying to think. I'm pulling the schedule up real quick.
I think it's crazy how you remember these games so much. All of them just bleed together for me.
So Darius Taylor came back. He came back a couple weeks before because he played a little bit in the Ohio State game, but not a lot. So we got spanked there. He played in the Purdue game, and he only had 32 yards, but he had 67 receiving yards. So Purdue game saw a lot more opportunities in that game, was coming back really. Nebraska game scorched him, 148 rushing yards. And that's where we're like, oh, TT's back. He's healthy, 148. And then he played 1 rushing attempt the next week versus Iowa. And everybody was like, why is DT not in the game? What is happening? What is going on? Did he get hurt again? Like, what happened? And we never got an answer. And I don't think so. Then he took the next game off, Michigan State game. D2 wasn't there. And then he was back after that, 57, 43, 100 for the next 3 games, 116 for the next 4 games. And with receiving yards too. So this game was a weird one. It was like we got 1 attempt of DT, never got the reasoning, didn't know what happened there. And this was the only game, the one game Drake looked like a freshman. Drake Lindsay had his worst game of the season, his only multi-interception game of the entire year. In fact, Tristyn, Drake had 50% of his interceptions for the entire season in this one game. Like, that tells you, like, this game just rattled him. It did. Like, I don't know if it was the rivalry. I don't know if it was on the road. I don't know what it was, but you could see in this one game, and that was weird. That was an anomaly because even against Ohio State when we were getting beat bad, he didn't flinch. Even when we were playing against Oregon, he didn't flinch. So this Iowa game was the only game where it just felt off, and it felt like he was out of his game. He was overthinking. Like, I don't know what it was. So you add all of that in, and it's like, dang. whatever could go wrong did go wrong for your Golden Gophers in that Iowa matchup. So hopefully that adds fuel to the fire this season. And especially for Drake Lindsey, because if you're like, look, this was the game, they made me look bad in a rivalry game. I had 3 interceptions of my 6 total on the season, including the one bullcrap one in week 1 where it hit off the heel and things like that.
Crazy.
Really, of 5 real interceptions on the season, 3 of them came in this Iowa game. Drake Lindsey's going to want to get his get back. And I think he is going to be like, Harbaugh, Fleck, let me throw the damn rock. Let me cook in this one because I need a redemption. I think Drake Lindsey's going to come to play in that one.
I think the juice of this game is going to be incredible. Like the atmosphere, the crowd, it is going to be absolutely insane at the bank. So, yeah, it's tough to, it's not tough to talk about or predict like Iowa. It's actually super duper easy. And it's going to be the same team. It's just, we got to find a way to win. The same team, same offense.
Let me give you some hope. Because the further I dug deep, I was like, this might be the year. Because it's at home. Love that. Yep. Check number 1. Another positive in this matchup is that Iowa is replacing a lot of starters on both sides of the ball. In fact, they're 110th in college football in returning snaps coming back. So they have a ton of production that they have to replace. On offense, they have to fill quarterback, 2 wide receivers, and 3 starting linemen. On defense, they have to fill 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 3 players in the secondary. So, they got a whole lot of things to fill this spring, and we got them in the middle of the season. So it's not like you get them at the end of the year where they finally find their groove. They're probably just starting to really get into some good stuff at this point in the season, depending on injuries. If injuries come in those weeks or 2 before, all of a sudden they could be trying out new things and catching opportunities that maybe the Gophers can find some holes in it. So overall, I think with all of the production that they've lost, on top of it being a home game, and on top of them not having a quarterback, but then the defense having a ton of players that are being replaced, if there was any time for Minnesota to get right versus Iowa, I think it's this year. I think this is the year to do it. And you've got a hungry Drake Lindsey who's going to be mad about his 3 interceptions. You got DT who didn't get to play this rivalry game last season. And then you've got all of that missing production that they have to fill. I think this is the year the Gophers have to take advantage and get right.
Yeah, you're getting me. Yeah. Yep. I'll get there. Yeah, I can see it. I can really, really see it. Fun fact about Iowa's schedule, they just play the Big Ten West after this. We're the beginning of the Big Ten West, and they only play Big Ten West teams for the rest of the season.
So
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska.
So biggest thing is they're not going to be overlooking Minnesota in this because
they got the whole Big Ten West.
Yeah. They're going to be like, okay, we've got both of our rivals back to back on this too with Minnesota and then Wisconsin. They're going to be like, yep, just lock in.
And if say Wisconsin even plays Iowa kind of close, then we can be like, yeah, because we wore them out. They were so gassed from playing us.
You're welcome. One thing that I thought was super interesting as I was diving deep on Iowa, they have 15 transfers coming in, transfer additions. Only 2 of them are from Power 4 schools. Otherwise, the other 13 are from either FCS or G5 programs. So that'll be interesting to see if they actually step up and play big roles or if it was just depth filling. But names to know on the offense. Biggest story of the offseason for Iowa is who will be quarterback 1. They're between Jeremy Hecklinski and Hank Brown. Both sound like the whitest dudes you've ever heard of.
Both mullets. Full mullets on both of them. I'm looking at them right now. Yeah.
Both have little to no experience playing. Word on the street is Hecklinski is like the moxie dude. He's a gamer, big arm. Brown is more of the game manager, more calculated. Either way, Mark Gronowski is gone. That was the dude who came from South Dakota State. He had won a national title with them in the FCS, came to Iowa. He had a mediocre passing numbers, but the dude had 545 rush yards with 16 rushing touchdowns. So he was a weapon for Iowa, plain and simple. So I'm glad he's gone. Hopefully both of their quarterbacks aren't good. And then you move to the running backs.
That would be nice.
They've got Kamari Moulton back. He led the team in carries and rush yards last year with 878 and 5 touchdowns. Xavier Williams is the second running back to know. He had 49 carries for 285 and 3 touchdowns. So those are the two running backs to kind of know. Wide receivers wise, I was like, I'm not concerned about this room. I'm not even going to really dive too deep on this. They added 3 dudes from the portal. One's name is Tony Diaz. He was the one that maybe you could give a look to. He had the most potential, in my opinion. He's from, is it the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley or something like that? UTRGV. I didn't even want to look it up. I was like, we'll just guess.
I've never heard of this. What conference is that even in?
Southland Conference in the FCS. I did get that part. So he was freshman of the year in the Southland Conference. He was all conference first team in the FCS as a freshman. He had 875 yards and 11 touchdowns. AP All-American, honorable mention, and a freshman All-American by Phil Steele. So dude's got a ton of upside. He played in the FCS. He was a freshman. Now he's making the jump up basically 2 levels to the Big Ten with no quarterback or an unknown quarterback. So I just was like, whatever. Lance Beagley from SMU and Evan James from Furman are the other 2 wide receiver additions. Didn't look too much into him. Reese Vanderzee is a guy that I liked watching when he popped a little bit as a freshman. He missed some games last year due to injury, but he played the final 8, catching 15 passes for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. He started again some games as a true freshman, so he's a name to know on that wide receiver room. But the tight ends in Iowa are what you need to know, plain and simple. The tight end I'll give it to them. They got so many tight ends in the league, and they just continue to do it. So Addison Ostrenga is back after an injury of last year. We'll see if he can come back and be strong. He was supposed to be the starter, but got hurt early. Zach Ortworth is a blocking behemoth, so he's going to do that thing. And then DJ I'm not going to say it right, but he went crazy at the end of last season when given the opportunity. He had 434 yards and 3 touchdowns, so he's definitely the name to probably know. He was a sophomore last year, coming in a junior, so I'm going to guess he probably keeps a big role in that offense. And then finally, the offensive line, I think it's just going to be more the same with Iowa. Regardless of them replacing 3 starters, the 2 guys that are back are really good. Cade Piper, 83.5 grade on PFF, which is phenomenal. He might be a center this year. He was a right guard last year. And then Trevor Lauk, 84.8 grade on PFF, which again is great, left tackle. And then 2 of their other starters this season are probably going to be players that played about 150 snaps, 120 snaps last year. So they'll probably fit right in, be the same old Iowa offensive line.
Yeah, it is going to be more of the same. And it is just a bunch of big Midwest dudes. Like I was looking at the offensive line, and it's literally Iowa, Indiana, South Dakota, Illinois, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin. Like they just dominate the Midwest when it comes to recruiting.
Them corn-fed kids. You got to get them corn-fed boys, let them get up there, get a little bigger in Iowa, learn how to put it down, put the weights up, and then all of a sudden they're perfect for Iowa.
It really is, and I think it can't be understated. This is the nicest we're ever going to talk about Iowa, but Kirk Ferentz he's just a Hall of Fame coach. Like what he has been able to accomplish he's got names, but there's not that many Iowa names that you continue to think of, but he is just so successful and finds a way every year, and he knows what works for him and his program, and he just does it to perfection. And I can't wait to beat him this year.
Him and Phil Parker, defense coordinator, got a shout out because their defense is always nasty. So their defense last year, 10th in pass defense, 17th in run defense, 9th in total defense, 8th in scoring defense. Like they're a top 10 defensive unit, plain and simple. It's the reason they win games. They play ball and ass defense. They take care of the football on offense, and they have amazing special teams every year. Write it down. That's the way Iowa football works. So the returners to know on defense, Zach Letmer, 71 tackles, 1 sack, 7 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. He led the team in interceptions. And Deshaun Lee, 34 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. So Letmer and Lee are both corners, but I think Letmer, they like to move all over. I think they like to have him on the outside. They like to have him in the nickel. Sometimes maybe they'll drop him into some safety packages or have him blitz or things like that. They use him everywhere. I think they're going to do that again. Deshaun Lee is a locked-in outside corner, and I think they're looking for the other guy to go outside of him. Jaden Montgomery is a linebacker, 44 tackles, 2 pass breakups. And then players that'll probably step into bigger roles. Yosei Epinesa, brother of AJ Epinesa, who plays for the Buffalo Bills. He was a 5-star guy. He is going to be stepping into a lead role in the edge there this year. Jalen Watson is probably a cornerback who could take over. 15 tackles, 1 pass breakup, 224 snaps last year. And then they had a defensive lineman, Kenneth Merriweather, who had 221 snaps and 14 tackles. I think he steps into a bigger role. So like I said, defense has always been Iowa's strength, but I think that massive turnover could be the opportunity for the Gophers this year because not as many big name transfers came in, a lot of production left out. So could it be a down year for them, or will they have the youth of this recruiting class ball out, and all of a sudden freshmen like Darian Jones are coming in, and they're just going to be dudes and they're set for the next 4 years? If you look at the history of it all, that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to have like 5 freshmen that just absolutely ball out, and they're going to torment Minnesota for the next 4 years with those freshmen going to seniors. But I'm hoping that it's not that. I'm hoping that the things play in Minnesota's favor. It's a home game. The quarterbacks are unknown. And the defense seems to be the biggest question mark that it's ever been in my memory of them playing. So that's what I'm hoping in. I'm leaning into it. We'll see if I can talk myself into a win. But that is the Iowa matchup, my boy.
Yeah, I think we could talk ourselves into a win. Iowa, they have a schedule on them. Like, they play Iowa State early. I mean, Iowa State, who knows what they're going to be now that they
might suck
lost
now.
a lot of guys. They might suck. But, I mean, then they go at Michigan versus Ohio State, at Washington, at Minnesota. Like, that is a tough schedule.
Here's my thing, though. You already heard me say I think Michigan's going to be a fluke this year. I think that's
that's true. That is true. But, I mean,
Iowa
still at the big house.
Iowa State, new coach. Illinois, Northern Illinois, and Northern Iowa, meh. So I could see them starting off 4-0, losing to Ohio State. Washington's a tough one. And then all of a sudden you're looking at the Big Ten West. I could see Iowa winning 10 games this year if they have good quarterback play and a defense, but those are big ifs. So I don't know what's going to happen, bro. I don't know what's going to happen.
It could be, I think we got time. There's 6 weeks before we need to decide what we think about this Iowa team. Because we got to see it first. We got to see it. If they struggle those first 3 weeks, I might, hey, there's a chance. There's a chance.
We've got a little hope.
Yep.
And that's going to wrap up today's show. We've covered 3 rooms. We covered Iowa. Next week, we're going to talk Indiana and UCLA, and we're going to talk the secondary. That'll wrap up our position groups. That'll get us close to the end of the schedule. And then we're going to wrap through the end of the schedule and do our predictions. And by that time, football will be here before you know it. There are open practices coming up here soon. I believe the first one is this Friday. Unfortunately, I don't think I can go, dog. I think I have my 2-year-old with me. Maybe I'll bring my 2-year-old out there.
Bring him with. It's good to get him some Big J journalist reps. Get him some reps. Give him a little notebook.
I do think I have a meeting for work at a similar time. We'll see. I'm going to try to make it work. But otherwise, there are a couple media ones out coming up here soon that I'll make sure to get out to. And then I think August 20th is the final open practice. So get those on the calendar. Bring your family. Go out and see the Gophers. We're going to talk about what we see in fall camp. We're going to talk about the rest of these rooms and opponents, and then we're going to get into some predictions, and then the season will be here. Football will be here. It will be fall weather. We'll be riding in the perfection that is college football.
I can't wait. It's going to be so great. I'm so excited to I got a new couch this year too.
Ooh.
Just going to sit on that couch for 24 hours straight watching football.
That means he's going to be spending extra money gambling this year because he's going to be extra comfy.
I've been putting in the OT. I've been putting in that OT. I gotta bank that up.
All right, Ghost fans, be sure to hit subscribe over on YouTube. Tell your friends about the show. Let's get this thing going. But we appreciate y'all. Row the boat, Sky, you might go Gophers. As always, please don't forget to hit subscribe.